Brooke Smith here. I played Catherine Martin in Silence of the Lambs and Bates Motel as well, which I also really liked. I wish that one could have continued. And the most important advice that I think I can give you, just don't go out there. Okay? I'll say it again. Just don't go out there.
They've conquered the big screen. Now, get ready for the spin-off sure to send chills down your spine. It's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin in Don't Go Out There, the series.
Welcome back, everybody, to DGOT, the series. We really appreciate y'all listening. We hope y'all have been enjoying these series reviews. I know we have. It's been a lot of fun. Just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgooutthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I want to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgooutthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network, so there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support.
This is a big week. Mike is making his very first series pick. We just concluded Midnight Mass, Brian's choice, and we're kicking off with Brother Mike's first series pick. Mike, announce your pick and why you picked it.
Absolutely. So this is my first series pick because I took a hiatus from the series show because I was screwy and couldn't get my fucking life together. But, we're not on that grind anymore. We're on a different grind. Job I actually like. So here we go. I went back and forth, as you guys know from our chat. I had like 6 different picks along the way I wanted to go with when it finally got to me. But I ended up settling on Bates Motel, the prequel, not so prequel series to the movie Psycho. I'll just start off by saying I watched this in its original run when it first aired, and it was on AMC, and I absolutely loved it then. So I was really curious to see, going back to the first season, if I would feel the same way. I gotta say, I still really, really like it. I love this world that they're building around these characters of Norma and Norman. Sometimes I just kind of forget that it's tied to the Psycho movie, honestly, just because I like the show outside of that. Now, again, we get a lot of callbacks and fun things. And I know there's a lot of people's complaints about why does it have modern stuff, but it has all this old stuff and this back and forth thing that happens there. I understand that criticism, but I think Vera Farmiga is great. And honestly, I think the whole cast is great. I think there's a lot of good acting. Nestor Campbell comes to mind, as Sheriff Romero. Maybe not in these episodes, but just you wait. He gets great. And so, again, a lot of good stuff, a lot of good tension. And I feel like it's a really good horror series that the first season doesn't get too crazy. But I think it's a fun watch. I'm excited to talk about it.
So, yeah, I actually don't love it so far. I mean, hopefully that changes. And I mean, it's weird because I think Freddie Highmore and Vera Farmiga are casting gold. One thing that, it's not the main reason why, but it is something that's very hard for me to get past. It's the fact that it's not a period piece. If you're a prequel, why is this not set in the 40s or 50s or whatever? That bothers me. You went through all the trouble of even you had a little voiceover Easter egg from Anthony Perkins in these episodes. So you casted the absolute perfect person as a younger Norman Bates. So I guess I don't understand why we had this set in modern day. I don't know. It's weird. It creates this weird tonal thing for me. Makes it almost like more of a CW teen show, like a Riverdale. Plus, it suffers from that age-old prequel problem. So you can't put Norman in harm's way because we know what happens to him. Plus, Dylan sucks as a character, but hopefully he gets better. Hopefully the show gets better as a whole. It's just these 2 episodes so far, the show's really not for me.
All right, I'll go next. The prequel stuff doesn't bother me because I think the first Psycho movie's freaking overrated as hell.
Wow.
Yeah, okay.
It's a snooze fest. Let's
Yeah,
be
okay.
real. And this is in color. Shout out to Jamie Johnson. I get to see this one in color. But on a serious note, this is a show I've been wanting to watch for a long time, so I'm really glad you picked it. This is a show I really wish I could just have the time to just binge the first season. I watched the first 2 episodes Monday when I got back. I got back from Spookala Sunday. Had to go back to work, and I should have took the day off because your boy was down abysmal. So I did my notes. The only thing I can't really say was a problem, but it's just a lot happens to me in the first 2 episodes. Like a lot happens, and it's only like 40-ish minute episodes. So that was kind of refreshing compared to Midnight Mass, considering those episodes are all over an hour, and you can take 25 minutes of dialogue out of that, and you still don't have as much action going on. But I'm excited to see where this goes. I enjoyed the first 2 episodes, and there's a lot of horror alumni nods that are kind of low key in there that I point out in my notes. And I like the first 2 episodes. I'm excited to see where it goes.
So when we reviewed Psycho, I gave it a 5. Listen, I was emotional. I was wrong. I rewatched it February 26th of this year, and I would retroactively give it a 9. Like, I appreciate it a lot more. So I said that to say this. I had high expectations for this show going in because the Hitchcock movie's great, and so is Vera Farmiga. After 2 episodes, the jury's still out. Like, I don't know if it's good or not. I like the first one better than the second one. I think it was because I had hope. I expected the story to suck me in starting in episode 2 based on what they gave us in episode 1. And that wasn't the case for me. But I'm not saying it's bad. I've only seen these 2 episodes, so who knows if it gets better. And I do agree with Brian. Freddie Highmore, you couldn't do a better job casting if you tried. Like, that was phenomenal casting for a young Norman. But yeah, I don't know. The jury's still out.
I'm pretty sure Anthony Perkins' family signed off on they're like, excellent. That's a great choice, Freddie Highmore there. No, I completely understand what you're saying. These 2 episodes, like you mentioned, Nico, pack a lot in that they do unravel the rest of the season. So if you were at least kind of interested in what's going on, I think you'll get a lot of answers and things, happening in the rest of the season. But I understand not being hooked immediately. I definitely do, especially because what you may have been expecting, period piece, which I told Brian last week, it was not a period piece, but, what you may have been expecting may not have been what you got. So I think that's totally fair.
Well, to be fair, Mike, you said that it was kind of a period piece, kind of not. And so I don't, I didn't take it as it was completely going to ignore it.
That's totally fair. Absolutely. By the way, we need to do Psycho 2. That's an underrated film, by the way. Just throwing that out there.
We need to do the Psycho remake.
No, we don't do that.
Hang on, actually.
It's the same movie. It's just...
Yeah. I just remembered something, though. Nico said, hey, this is in color. So, bro loves The Lighthouse, but has a problem with Psycho because it's black and white. Snip, snap, snip, snap. Make up your mind.
Snip, snap, snip, snap.
Well, I mean, we got a master and Robert Eggers and some overrated guy named Alfred Hitchcock. But anywho, go ahead.
There's you know what? Now that you say that, Dustin, I may pick that. It's Gus Van Sant, right? That does the Psycho remake. I think. So. Yeah, I may pick that just for shits and giggles. You'll get to see Psycho in color, Nico. There you go. And Vince Vaughn is Norman Bates. Wow, look at that.
I'm just joking about the color. I just don't like Psycho. I don't think it's that good.
Yeah, it's Gus Van Sant. You got Vince Vaughn, Anne Heche, Julianne Moore, Viggo Mortensen, William H. Macy.
Buddy.
I mean, talk about a cast.
God rest her soul, but you can see Anne Heche's butthole in that movie.
Okay, let's move along.
You can. It's literally in the peephole, dude. It's her butthole.
But, saying God rest her soul and following it up with that is just...
I'm sorry.
A wild thing to say.
I'm not going where you guys are going anyway, so...
That's what her legacy is to you.
No, it's not.
But anyway.
Well, I mean, kind of. She dated Ellen for a while, right?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. That's
Uh,
that's good too. Yep.
that, that's not a good thing. Like, there's so many allegations against Ellen being a bad person lately. Anyway,
Anyway, all right,
all
let's
right,
do
let's move
Bates Motel.
along. I forgot that I'm doing the scene by scene on episode 1, so bear with me here. Episode 1, First You Dream, Then You Die. We open with a young Norman laying in bed as his TV plays. It's such a cold open that I had to rewind it and make sure that it actually started from the beginning. He starts rushing through the house in a panic looking for his mom and eventually finds his dad's body sprawled on the floor. The search for mom continues until he finds a locked door. Mom's been in the shower and seems less than concerned about Norman crying over his dad's downfall. As Norman cries over his dad's body, his mom does end up comforting him. Next, we cut to 6 months later and see a car driving down a windy road along the coast. Norman and Mama are moving, and he's not too thrilled about it. They arrive at the Seafarer Motel, and we see the iconic house behind it. They're the new owners. Mama shows Norman his room, and it's right next door to hers. She tells him it's their chance to start over. Later that night, Norman is unloading the luggage when he sees his mom and her skivvies through the window of her bedroom, and we get our title card. But this show wastes no time with the theme or opening credits, because immediately after we see Norman waiting at a bus stop when some decently handsome girls get to know the new guy when another girl pulls up in her convertible BMW to give them all a lift. They sit still long enough for one of the girls, Bradley, to put her number in Norman's phone, and then we see Norman daydreaming while ogling a girl in class. The teacher wants to meet with him after class, and we hear his test scores are impressive, but his grades just don't match up. She suggests that he goes to the track tryouts and then offers condolences to him for the loss of his father. That night at home, Mrs. Bates has a candlelit dinner waiting for Norman, and she gives him a guilt trip for wanting to run track. She signs his permission slip and leaves him to eat dinner alone. What do you guys think?
Okay, I will say I love the open. Like I said, Freddie Highmore, an absolute casting royalty. I mean, it's one of the best choices for a younger version of an epic character, right there with Chris Pine as Captain Kirk. And I know Mike and Nico 100% agree with me on that. But the open here with Norman discovering his father dead in the garage, it's stark. There's no music, just heavy breathing, muffled noises. The lighting's dim. The handheld camera work, I think, is a perfect choice there by director Tucker Gates. Gates, by the way, directed 4 episodes of probably my favorite series of all time, in The Office. But some of the best episodes, including Threat Level Midnight. And look, my fellow Mifflinites will, I know you'll know and agree with what I'm talking about there. But the way it's shot, this is shot through, is very Hitchcockian, especially this first set of scenes here. And Vera, I mean, you guys all agree on Vera. We all talked about it. You kind of suspect something here with her cold demeanor, but you're not sure. I like the way that plays out. So driving a Mercedes, bought a house, a motel. This is some Mike Settle money, if I've ever seen it. I mean, goddamn. I will give Tucker more credit though. The first shot with Norma sitting on the car with the motel and the house in the background, that's the money shot right there. I mean, not Val Venus's finishing move, but that's the shot that I think you had to get right in this entire show, and that was definitely the case here. The house, they also got exactly right too. I mean, it's a character in itself. It always has been. It's like the Amityville Horror House. I mean, and different famous houses like that. It's a character in itself. Narrow doorways, high ceilings. I mean, it gives us this sense of entrapment. But then we get the little title card, and that's kind of it for me. I mean, the rest of what I watched in this scene, this set of scenes, and really next episode just doesn't feel like Psycho to me. But again, I really, really think it was a bad choice to have this modern day setting. And here we go. We start at the bus stop with this friend group. And I feel like I'm watching, like I said, a CW show. I mean, we got dialogue like, hey, you like books? We're reading one. It feels like wasted exposition to me. And the CW comment made date us years later. People will feel like, what the fuck's a CW show? Like I said, Riverdale, Smallville. It's just, that's the kind of thing this feels like to me. And it just goes downhill for me. But this set of scenes right here before the title card, the cold open, is definitely my favorite part of the episode. One more thing and I'll shut up. This dinner scene with Norma and Norman, Vera is so damn good in this. She uses that smile like a weapon almost. I mean, she smiles, but you can almost feel that control behind every word that she says. I I like that. I like it.
Yeah, so I actually like this open because, I feel like after what I said to Brian last week that this isn't a period piece, anyone or him may have thought the first like minute and a half, like, what is Mike talking about? This is taking place at that time period. Just how like old style, the show that Norman was watching in the TV. So that like direct year connection with Psycho may have been there, but as we find out, that's not the case. I also love this little look that Vera or Norma, man, that's going to be so interchangeable for me as we do this show. That's just going to be the way it is. I love this little look that she gives to Norman that kind of lets him know, oh, wait, what's wrong? What happened to your dad? Like, so shocked. Oh my God. Like Mike shit himself. Oh my God, I'm so shocked. Like that kind of thing. Or you being sarcastic. Yeah. So that's the kind of look that she gives. And now, I will say, Freddie Highmore plays this same smart ass character in Good Doctor, to be honest with you. Like, it's almost down to the damn tone and everything. So, again, great Norman Bates choice for sure. Um, and again, I like that they keep, and I view it as a positive personally, how they balance and go back and forth, where they use some old stuff like the house is old, a lot of the just like clothes that Norma and Norman wear look like they're of the Psycho time period, but there's headphones and cell phones and all that stuff. I actually kind of like it. I think it's fun. I think it's different. It doesn't have to be directly connected to the original film. I understand why someone would want it to be, though. Love the shot of the house that we get. That first look of the house behind Bates Motel, I think, is really, really cool. And they nailed this house. Like the exterior of this house looks exactly like the Bates Motel house. It's awesome. I really enjoy it. Then we get the shot of Vera through the window, which me and Nico were talking about before the show. Whew, Vera, that's what I'm talking about, baby. Anyway, but it's also a creepy shot of him just watching his mom like that, planting little seeds of that Norma Norman relationship that we get there. Um, again, then they kind of let down the facade of it being old because you see Norman on the bench with his headphone, a tractor, rides through town, which I'm like, damn, is this the Pacific Northwest or goddamn freaking Alabama? Where is this? But obviously Pacific Northwest. And by the way, it becomes the theme of this show. How is Norman pulling all these women? This is insanity to me. This girl immediately walks up to this motherfucker interested in him. Come on, man. He didn't do shit. And she immediately is all over this guy. Crazy son of a bitch. I will say, so this teacher, not so much of a spoiler. She becomes a very important character at some point, in case you couldn't tell. But again, having the balls to tell him, hey, maybe you put down some roots. The kid just told you he moves all over God's green earth all the time. Maybe he has a little bit of sensitivity. But anyway, but she's even acting kind of weird, right? She seems like a predatory character. Last thing I have here is the Norma gaslighting, which I remember at the time of the show airing was kind of like a big thing. Like gaslighting, that term was just starting to kind of come into pop culture consciousness. And boy, howdy, does Norma know how to spin that shit like a DJ, buddy. Turns it right around, guilts him into not running on the track team like that. I hate the way that she manipulates Norman, but Norman, as we'll come to see, also manipulates Norma. So I love their character dynamic, perfectly cast. Go ahead, Nico.
Yeah, like I mentioned at the beginning, I had not seen the show, and my first impressions of the show was I love the score and the cinematography. The cinematography right off rip. I thought it was really interesting, and I thought it was really good. This scene is intense, mysterious, and I'm curious what's going on starting off. Mom, she isn't in much of a hurry hearing that Dad's dead. I wonder if she is the perpetrator. And going into the next episode, I believe that she is even more so. And my goodness, Vera Farmiga in 2013, like a sprained ankle, nothing to play with. Poor Norman, though, he got fucked with his bedroom selection in my eyes at this new hotel, didn't he? Jesus, his room sucked compared to hers. And the hell is going on here, Norman? You looking at your mom through the window in her lingerie? Weirdo. Title card, Mike, I thought it was awesome. I loved it. Was the lights turning on. I thought it was awesome. Did Norman hit the jackpot or what? Like, I agree with you, Mike. A convertible full of attractive girls pick him up. Bro is living the dream right now. And girls are just throwing it at him like in the first episodes the whole time. Like, good for him, man. The teacher grabs Norman's hands rather inappropriately as well, too. This guy is just beating the cooch off of him. My God, I've never seen anything like this. I think all of us are getting some Waterboy vibes with Mama being hesitant about him joining a team. I loved it. Automatically thought about Bobby Boucher and his mama. Crazy that she's guilt tripping him over wanting to be a kid. I thought it was an interesting opening, and I'm curious where this goes from here.
Presumably the next day, we see Norman beating a rug on the porch when Keith Summers approaches and starts giving Norman and Norma a hard time for now owning his family's property. Norma has finally had enough and tells Keith to kick rocks, and if he comes back, he'll leave with some lead in him. Can't read. Later, Norma answers the doorbell, and it's Norman's new girlfriend's at the door. They want Norman to study at the library, but Mama shuts that down with the quickness, which doesn't sit well with Norman. They trade shouts at each other, and Norman heads upstairs and texts Bradley to wait for him at the bus stop. He sneaks out in the least inconspicuous way possible and finds out the girls didn't actually want to study. It's party time. Norman makes eyes at Bradley and then lays down some smooth game, but before they can kiss, Richard interrupts and took Bradley away to socialize. Back at the house, Norma is doing some dishes when she hears a thud outside. It's that no good Keith Summers again, and he forces entry to the house. Norma yells for Norman, but he's busy being a wallflower, and Keith Spartan kicks Norma and then duct tapes her mouth. He handcuffs her to the table and tells her the house and everything in it is his. As he's raping Norma, Norman knocks Keith out and frees his mama from the handcuffs. Keith comes to, and after telling Norma she liked it, gets what he deserved. She stabs him multiple times in the chest, and Norman returns to see the aftermath. What'd you guys think?
There's old Earl Brown playing Keith Summers here. The casting in the series is top notch. I mean, for sure. No doubt. Brown's a legend. Black Mass, Deadwood. There's something about Mary. Been around for a while. But this character was almost too cartoonish for me. It wasn't Brown's fault. I mean, he's just written to be this hateable asshole and not much else here. But I mean, that kind of came across as cartoonish in this set of scenes here. Now later, I mean, you want somebody to hate your character, rape's definitely the way to go there. So they accomplished that. But here, just meh. And I mean, holy shit, that rape scene, let's talk about it, is dark as hell. Brutal. The camera cuts are great. It doesn't just linger. The way it's cut is very unnerving. Obviously, that scene was controversial part of the script. Apparently, showrunners deliberately chose to shoot it in fragmented, like non-exploitive way. Vera Farmiga said that the shooting day was, quote, emotionally draining and that she wanted the trauma to be, quote, felt but not fetishized. That's a word. Um, That's not a whole lot to say. It was a very well done scene. A nitpick though, I felt like you shouldn't have killed Keith so early. I mean, you kind of set him up as this long-term threat in a way. And, even though, yeah, it was a little cartoony at first, like I said, but then you just kill him the same episode. And it almost undercuts what I thought you were trying to do there. I don't know. Decent bit of scenes here. The unsettling aspect of it saved it to me. It almost seems like they're rushing to get this, oh, we buried a body together scenes, so that Norma and Norman can have that bond that we know of later. But I mean, goddamn, you got a lot of time to do that. Maybe don't kill off the one guy you created as someone you could be that could be a legitimate villain if that's even what it is. Because I mean, I know Norma and Norma are villains, but you know what I'm saying.
Man, listen, I understand this guy's Keith or whoever. I understand his frustration, but there's no reason in treating these people like this because they bought the property that you think is yours. I mean, if the bank took it, damn, the bank took it, son. Make a little more money. Become a better businessman. I don't know what to tell you. That shit happens all the time. This is the real world. And a smart man once said, let me tell you about the real world. Anywho, uh, but by the way, hey, I'm just saying, man. I'm not saying you can't be sad, but we don't treat people like crap. Anyway, I look, Norma gaslighting again, though, man, right? I mean, really doesn't want Norman to go out for what reason? Didn't give a good reason. The guy's old enough. I think we deserve some kind of valid explanation besides no. Just saying, kids in high school, maybe a little bit something more like I need your help in here or something, anything, but just I don't want you to go. Anyway, I would definitely take her advice and stay up there the rest of the night. I wouldn't help her ass fuck no. But of course, he sneaks out the same way I would have snuck out because I was a rebel. That's how that works, baby. So good for Norman. We are establishing this I like the way that we're establishing this really weird relationship and dynamic with Norma and Norman. I think they're, I kind of mentioned it in the last set of scenes, but their dynamic is really, really good, really well acted by both. And it's just, again, I like the lore that we're building, the story that we're building. And look, it's Norman in this party scene. This man has Riz. How the fuck is he pulling this off, man? This girl automatically starts falling for him, calls him weird but cute. Like, what the fuck, bro? Like, how is this possible? I mean, I'm happy for the man. I'm jealous of the man, but I'm happy of the man too. Like, how is he pulling this off? What vibes is Norman Bates of all people giving off? Super odd. Um, back to a little bit more serious stuff. My brother in Christ. Oh, really quick side note. I miss house parties, man. Those were the days. A good fucking big house party, getting drunk with your friends, loud music. Hell yeah. Anywho, my brother in Christ, like I mentioned, you're just going to walk in and kill this woman? Like that's going to get you this house back? You think that's a smart fucking idea? No. And then as we've said, I'll never pick, I spit on your grave or anything like that. Cause I really do hate assault scenes. Like they're just uncomfortable to me. I don't like watching them. I would rather have that be phantom in my mind. Like we don't need to see it. We can just kind of have it there. We know it's happening, but that was a pretty hard watch. I'm not going to lie. Just a brutal scene. Not a fan of the choice to show that much of it, even though, it wasn't like all up in there, but just not my favorite. Anyway, fuck this guy though. And this is something this show will do. I'm going to not spoil the whole thing, obviously, but this show sets up some justified kills, which to me is very Rob Zombie Halloween, right? Where it's like, yeah, Michael Myers is a murderer, but like, man, that little kid that was bullying him kind of deserved to get his face beaten in by a log, right? Like that's kind of how you end up feeling in the moment. And that's kind of how this works as well. And I actually really like this kill. I'm glad that Norma is the one that killed it, especially after he said you liked it. That's a sick fuck. That guy deserved to die. And so I'm glad that he did. Thought it was a great kill.
Yeah, Keith Summers, this guy right here is W. Earl Brown. You may recognize him as Kenny from the first Scream movie. I met him at a convention, and unlike his character in this show, he's actually a really nice guy. So if you ever get to meet him, go do it. But what a nightmare, like Mike and Dustin mentioned, dealing with this guy. This house is their family heirloom. He's pissed off that the bank took it and they bought it. What a nightmare. But Norma, she ain't taking any shit. She stood on business and told him to skedaddle. I loved it. Good for her. Mom, cock blocking hard. My goodness. Good for Norman to call his mom out, too, though. I like Norman. I hope Norman is better at track and field than he is at sneaking out of the house, though. That was a terrible dive out the window. That was fucking horrible, man. Keith versus Norma, the Conjuring universe versus Scream. I'm excited to see who wins here. This has escalated quickly for Norma. This is a tough watch. I've said it before, and like these other guys have mentioned, I hate watching rape scenes. They're very disgusting to see. They're very uncomfortable. Ugh, just not a fan of them. Even though it did kind of fit the scene what they were building, I'm not a fan of watching it. I know Norman got a good hit on Keith, but they're not really watching him as well as they should have. Like, you hit him once, and like you just kind of forgot he was laying there. Like, didn't care for that. And I don't blame Norma at all for stabbing him and killing him. You sexually assaulted, raped her, then you looked at her and said, I liked it. Yeah, kill this animal. Get rid of him. He's worthless. Go ahead,
All
Dustin.
right. Norman tells Norma they need to call 911, but she objects. She says regardless if it was self-defense or not, it would cause people to avoid the motel. He tells his mom the truth about where he was and then has a full-fledged meltdown. She consoles him, and then it's time for body disposal. They get Keith into a tub in one of the motel rooms, and Norma says they have to pull up the carpeting from multiple rooms so it's not suspicious that one room has new carpet. While he's pulling up carpet, Norman finds a journal, but a cop's headlights break up his reading time. The cops see the old carpet outside, and Norma goes out to chat. They didn't know anyone had moved in yet, and were making sure everything was okay. They're overly suspicious to me for no good reason, and want to check out the rooms. They find Norman pulling up carpet, and of course, Sheriff has to drain the main vein in the same bathroom Keith's body is stashed in. The tension is relieved when he flushes and exits, and the cops head out, and the next set of scenes is the ending.
And yeah, Vera plays this post-rape thing just so well. She has this emotional flip where she goes from like scared and shaken to just like bam, laser focused. And okay, I mean, this is what we need to fucking do. Norman's protesting is a nice touch as well. He still has this moral compass, but he's already pretty much just bends to Norma's will. So it's nice to see that from kind of an early perspective. And now look, again, I've had this nitpick before many times. These two are not carrying this body the way that they are. It's coming across way too easy. There's just no chance. That man is every bit of 280 pounds of dead fucking weight. There's no chance. Okay. Now, the police scene, I thought it had a lot of very good tension. I do feel like, though, that the sheriff was way, way too suspicious of everything. I mean, like, it makes no damn sense to me, except just to add the tension, which, again, it was good, but script-wise, it doesn't make sense to me. I mean, he honestly has no reason to be suspicious of this skinny little kid and a woman. Like, it all just seems super legit, and he just feels super out of place with the way that he's acting, if that's the right word. It's just crazy to me. And plus, I mean, damn, like this is the first episode. I feel like we have way too many characters that they've given us so far. I mean, there is a lot of shit going on, and I forget sometimes that this is the first episode. Like this is supposed to be a small, quiet town. Like, what are we doing here? And fun fact though, the bloody towels in the set of scene, it was definitely a callback to Psycho. The slow draining of the blood, the shot of the blood in the water, the towels, like even the cold color temperature, that they used mimics the original film. I thought they did a great job there, if that's what you were trying to get across. But yeah, it's just so much going on already. I'm ready for the ending of this episode.
Hey, man, you know, yes, this is self-defense. Of course, this kill would take place in self-defense, and I'm not really sure why they don't go through the mindset of trying that instead of hiding the body, right? Like, just common sense would say, listen, this man raped me. I can prove it with a rape kit, and I killed him brutally because he was raping me. So, like, that seems like a pretty slam shut case to me. If you did serve any time, it probably wouldn't be very much, although I doubt anyone would charge up a case on that personally if you can prove that you were being assaulted. Again, have you guys never seen a crime show before? I mean, but however, getting rid of a body, Norma knew how to do that pretty quick. That was interesting that she already kind of had an idea of what to do, what the next steps should be. Um, and again, there's just a little bit of I make note of it a couple times throughout both episodes, but a little bit of going back and forth between old style clothes on both of them and new style clothes. And when they're hiding this body, they're like wearing more modern looking clothing. But when she's trying to, I don't know, impress people, a lot of times she's wearing like those old Norma Bates that we, kind of see on Dead Mom in the Psycho movie, those kind of dresses. Interesting choice that I can't remember if they do it through all 5 seasons or not. I feel like eventually it just gets dropped, but I could be wrong. By the way, this is a shitbag hotel, though. God damn. No wonder this guy had to give it up to the bank. This place ain't making no fucking money. Are you kidding me? Uh, also, a sheriff being all the way up at the hotel already that's suspicious, man. Like, that would bug me personally. Like, I just moved here. I hadn't done anything wrong, to your knowledge. And now you want to come up already in my hotel? The fuck out of my face, Romero, which, by the way, Romero, spoiler, ends up becoming one of my favorite characters in the show. Just going to take a while to get there. I think that Nestor Campbell does a great job. Not huge yet, not a huge role yet, but definitely will have it. By the way, the last thing I had or on this set, Norman went to school without taking a shower, changing clothes. He went to school and had the blood on his shoe. He had the same shirt, looked like shit. And he was still pulling bitches at that day at school, man. Come on. Come on, man. Impossible. Impossible. Go ahead.
Hey, before you go, you said something like, yeah, the sheriff showing up there, that's fine. Like, you don't know, he doesn't know someone moved in and he sees like carpet, like something's going on here. I think the place is empty, so I'm gonna check it out. But my issue with it was like, he was way too suspicious. Once you pull up and she says, we just moved in, then it's like, oh, okay, I just want to make sure everything's okay. Y'all have a good night. But instead, he's got this like very, like, I don't know, his tone says, hey, you did something. What'd you do? And he had no reason to believe that. And so that was my issue with it. I didn't like that at all.
Oh, exactly. Exactly.
100%.
No, I'm with you, but I do think just
Vera looked suspicious. Like she looked guilty, but he couldn't
And
prove anything. But I'm with you.
and another
He was a
thing,
little
I don't
aggressive.
care if it's 2 a.m. Don't tell me how to raise my kid. Hey, get that kid to bed. Don't you have school tomorrow? Don't mind your business. Don't tell me how to parent.
Yeah. Yeah. What if I homeschool him? Maybe I'm
Yeah,
gonna let
I
him
hate
sleep
that
in.
kind of. I hate that kind of stuff. Man, piss off. That's what I would have said.
What kind of sheriff works at 2 a.m. anyways? Go
Well,
go
you brought
home,
up a good
loser.
point there. Like we see it a lot in movies and shows. They make it seem like there's only 2 cops on a force. Like these cops are working night here, and then they're working daytime later, which I know they do rotating shifts, sure. But it's like they're the only 2 cops that we see through these first 2 episodes. And it's like, come on.
Yeah. All right. I'm intrigued with the mentality of Norma to not even care about being raped and only thinking of business and sales at the new motel. That's interesting. Like, I know what you were talking about, Mike, proving it, but she's not worried about being proven right. She's worried about losing business and having bad stigma. And I think that's an interesting mentality. And why is she being so apologetic for what happened to her? Like, I don't know. Her character is interesting for sure. Not buying these two carrying Keith's corpse away in a comforter. He's a pretty big dude, and it's dead weight. That'd be a really tough ask for a woman and a high school kid. Like,
Scrawny
I'm
high
just not
school kid
buying
at
that.
that.
Yeah, scrawny high school kid.
Oh, exactly.
Seeing Norman find this book, I just knew my co-hosts were making Asian jokes about me, but they didn't. I'm surprised. Another familiar face here, Deputy Zach Shelby. He's played by Mike Vogel, a.k.a. Andy from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2003. I also met him at a convention last year, and he was super nice as well, so go meet him if you get a chance. This is the last thing I got. Goodness, it's only episode 1, and a lot has happened so far, in my opinion. The sheriff is suspicious, and it might get really spooky if he looks in that tub after when he takes a piss.
All
Go
right,
ahead,
here's
Dustin.
the ending. At school the next day, Norman can't eat and notices blood on his Chuck Taylors. He runs off to puke in a trash can, and Emma offers him a mint. In town, Norman notices a flyer for a public meeting to discuss a bypass route. Later that night, the duo puts Keith's body in the trunk and heads to the lake for a nice late-night rowboat ride. And Norma tells Norman the bypass means people won't even know the motel exists, and says she's the worst mother in the world. But he tells her she's everything to him, and she calls him out for plagiarism. They take a break from their love fest to dump Keith, and then we see the motel is getting a new sign. Norman looks through the journal he found some more, and it's full of some pretty impressive artwork. Norman comes in to get Norman to show him the new blue sign, complete with new name, Bates Motel. She says as long as they're together, nothing bad can happen. Before we head out, we see a flickering fluorescent light and a needle injecting into the arm of what appears to be a young woman. The end.
So just quickly, could have done without the cafeteria part. Again, I felt like Riverdale filler there to me. We get that introduction to, is it Emma? With the oxygen tank? Yeah, Emma. She's fine, honestly, but I mean, hopefully more comes from that character. I just don't love any of the characters so far besides Norma and Norman, and we're moving that, here we are, we're moving that heavy ass body again. And I'm rolling my eyes. At least Vera tried to make it look like a little hard, but Norman, god damn, that dude has that retard strength, I guess, because dude has zero issues with this clearly fake body that now has apparently lost weight, by the way. But again, just a nitpick. That's just what we do, right? The sudden police visit cliffhanger feels slightly telegraphed. I mean, you definitely saw that coming, but again, it was just such a packed episode. But even while packed, I don't know. I didn't love it.
Yeah, so small introduction of a speaking part for Emma here. I mean, we get a little nod of her in the classroom, but this is the first time we really get to know her. That's Emma. Going to be a major character coming up for sure. Uh, do you know how remote this place has to be for them to be on this pond lake thing in the middle of the night, rowing a boat to dump a body? And nobody causing up a stir. Like, again, I know Scott Peterson kind of got away with it, allegedly, allegedly for Scott. But anyway, but no, I mean, this place is remote, and I have another note about that in the second episode here. But it's either 1937 or it's in the middle of fucking nowhere. My guess is it's both. Just some weird time warp hybrid thing that we have going on here. Again, this would be a sweet moment between, like a weirdly sweet moment between a mom and a son and any other thing that we were doing. But this weird relationship dynamic that we've gotten so far between these two that we kind of already know because of Psycho, this moment is not sweet. It's weird. It's creepy. The way they talk to each other, I'm uncomfortable. Not like, oh, that's nice. Like, oh, man, I'm not a fan of this Norman duo here. Which, by the way, in the last set of scenes, the sheriff calls out, "Hey, mind your fucking business, okay? I'll name my son Norman if I fucking want to." Anyway, great closing shot here of of the sign in the rain, right? I mean, Norma showing Norman the sign. I really love that little, again, a little bit more dialogue between the two, but I think the sign looks great. It becomes a major part, like Nico mentioned in the opening credits. It's a really cool shot. So, but by the way, bad things will in fact happen when you're together. I promise.
Norman, this man just puked up the nastiest looking vomit I've ever seen. And I thought it was really impressive that he was able to run up a flight of stairs while he had to puke. I definitely could not have done that. I really don't believe he could have either. TV's going to TV, but good for him. This is a weird mother-son relationship. Going to go out on a limb and say these two fuck each other at some point in this TV program. Mike, you can call me on that if I'm wrong, but I don't know. They got some weird stuff going on between them two. This is the last thing I got. Of course, this action-packed episode had to throw one more thing at us. An enslaved person being drugged. Good Lord, there's a lot to process in episode 1. But it wasn't bad. I liked it.
Is that one of the things that you were kind of upset about episode 2 that they kind of just forgot about it? Is that something that you didn't like?
No.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Because they do.
Yeah.
They get around to it.
I had a feeling, and I wasn't sweating that really.
Yeah.
But I'll just give my final thoughts on episode 1. Like, I thought it was a fine episode. There's a lot of world building, as first episodes of series tend to be. But it has enough mystery and action to get me invested. I gave the first episode a 7, so it's not like I didn't like it. It's just, we'll see. Sure. You guys have any trivia?
Yeah, I just have one here. In the opening scene, when Norman awakens on his bed, a scene from the 1940 American screwball comedy film His Girl Friday is playing on the television. In this scene, the character Bruce Baldwin discusses his own domineering matriarch to Walter Burns. Then that's obviously parallel to the relationship between Norma and Norman here.
I mean, I don't rate each singular episode either, but I'm probably like 7.5, 8 for the first episode as well. Like, I thought it was good, but like it was just world building. Yeah. A lot happened, but I know you do each episode individually, but I kind of wait for the cumulative for it to happen.
I've got a hard time rating these episodes because I have the hindsight of knowing how it all ends. And that makes these episodes better because I know the world and the world that's built. So it's going to be really hard. Now, I did it with Stranger Things, but again, as we talked about in those episodes, I knew everything that was coming later in the future. So that made those rewatches better. So I'm enjoying it probably more than you guys, but I'm glad that it's not like a total shit fest for everybody.
So when Norman is getting a box out of the car, he sees Norma at the window dressed in only her lingerie and gown. This was reference to Psycho 1960, where he becomes a peeping Tom. Norma telling Romero that the toilet in the motel bathroom doesn't work is also a Psycho reference. In the movie, Marion tears up a letter and flushes it down the toilet. The film was the first film to depict a flushing toilet on screen. The music that Norman listens to on his MP3 player at the bus stop is Beethoven's Symphony No. 3, Op. 5. In Psycho, Norman has the song on his record player. The butcher knife that Norma uses to kill Keith Summers is the same kind that Norman will use in his future killings in Psycho. And the last one I've got is when disposing Keith Summers' body, Norman and Norma wrap it up in a sheet, load it in the trunk of the car, and get rid of it in the water. This is similar to how he gets rid of Marion Crane's body in Psycho. So a lot of nods there. I can appreciate it.
That's right. Yeah. So
they were nice and subtle too. They weren't like right in your face with it.
They definitely do that. Probably the first, I'd say, 2 seasons. Like there's a lot of tiebacks and callbacks. And then again in the last season, because I think it's pretty obvious, leads right up to the movie Psycho. But there's like a good chunk of this series that doesn't do that. It just kind of builds its own lore and own world. But I am glad that we get those in this episode for sure.
All right, let's jump into episode 2. Brian, go ahead and take away the scene by scene whenever you're ready.
All right, yeah, I'm doing a scene by scene for this one too. So, you guys ready? Episode 2. Nice town you picked, Norma. That's the name of the episode. We start off with Norman in bed obsessing over that journal he found. And that's a great way that's shot, by the way. But there's a knock at the door, and it's Dylan, Norma's estranged son. She's clearly caught off guard as Dylan was obviously not invited, expected, or particularly wanted. And the show does a good job of, you know, creating pretty immediate tension here. We cut to the bus stop, and where even are the cars? Like, we pretty clearly saw them driving last episode, but okay, we're at the bus stop now. Everyone is standing around waiting for the bus when Bradley's dad goes flying by them, driving sporadically. She opens the door to find her dad burned up, not a woman driving, surprisingly, and we get the title card. That was uncalled for, sorry. When we get back, the police are there, as well as Norma and Dylan, and the police have found Keith Summers' truck. Fuck. Back at school, Emma and Norman pair for a project, and then we cut to the hospital where Norman shows up with flowers for Bradley's dad. She seems happy to see him, but boom, he is intercepted like Deion Sanders by her boyfriend, where we see Norman clock this and hide the card he was going to give him. No telling what was in that. We then cut to a strip club where I feel like I'm back in middle school, not because of the strip club, but because of Genuine's Pony is blasting over the stereo system. Look, I'm just a bachelor looking for a partner. Sorry. Anyway, Dylan is there in a forced scene where he conveniently gets trusted very quickly by a shady dude, and we cut back to Dylan getting home super late with what he was asked to pick up this morning, and Norma's waiting for him on the stairs, I believe. The two hash it out, and he presses her about the money and where she got it, causing Norma to back off a little bit, and the convo ends with her telling him to stop calling her Norma its mother.
Yeah, starting off with episode 2, I love the editing, zooming in on the pictures in the book and the crazy eyes of Norman. Not sure of the validity of Norman being able to open that door, but good Lord, at the reveal, I was not expecting to see a burnt to hell person. That was quite the visual. You can tell by the look in Sheriff's eyes that he's on to Norma. I'm mind blown still at all the girls throwing themselves at Norman. This never happens in real life unless you're rich. Like, I don't know. This guy's listening to Beethoven on an MP3 player, and all these girls are just throwing themselves at him. Like, what is going on? This Richard guy is an odd looking fellow. He looks like Robert Pattinson's cousin with a missing chromosome. And stop pocket watching my Asian brother, Dylan. Damn. Like, what the hell is going on with this guy? I understand now why Norma wasn't interested when Norman's dad died. Big insurance payday on the way. I love to see that. I thought it was a good set of scenes opening up. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I love this cold open, right? We just get the reveal right off the bat. We don't waste any time. Norma has another son. His name is Dylan. That's a really a great way to open a second episode of a series, in my opinion. And again, I also likes that this kind of keeps you guessing for a while why Norma or why this son hates her and the other son is obsessed with her. You know, I think that's an interesting thing that they do get to. Um, Again, how is Norman landing these chicks, man? I can't figure it out. They all come over to him like he's a fucking hero or something. Good night. I thought the effects on the burnt dad looked really good. And I do like that we're starting to get some seeds, planted here on why this may have happened to him in this episode. So they don't waste any time doing that either. And I think, really good effects on the burnt body. Um, Again, we also don't know why Dylan calls her Norma instead of mom, which we will at some point. And again, you can already kind of tell. Again, just laying more groundwork, more world building, like we talked about. They're building something with Romero and Norma. There's no doubt about it. It's very evident early on in this episode here. Man, if I'm hot for teacher, this is man, that would have been nice back in the day. But anywho, just Norman picking up more chicks. You know, Norman is a lot like Will Ferrell's character in The Other Guys, where he just picks up all these hot ladies, and Mark Wahlberg can't do shit with his woman. That's what this is like. So that's what I really. By the way,
He loves you
my
very much,
man,
Francine.
you come into my house, you get my wife's name right. It's Christina. Are you dumb? Are you stupid? Sorry. Great movie. Anyway, um, By the way, you open the strip club and they're playing fucking Pony. Hell yeah. Great fucking song, baby. Not to listen to by yourself because that's a little odd, maybe, or listen to with the boys. Not so sure I'd be hanging out with you guys listening to Pony, but no, in the right setting, it's a great tune. Um, again, this looks like a middle of nowhere strip club, and you know the kind I'm talking about. If you've ever been to one, it's really looks like one. I don't frequent them anymore. I don't really like them, but I have been to a middle of nowhere one, and it's pretty rough. Um, last thing I have is I love this world building with Dylan and Norma personally. I think it's fun to kind of, sorry for knocking my mic. I think it's kind of fun to get this backstory personally. I think, having these two interact, Norma has another son, adds another layer, another character dynamic. And as you'll come to find out, Dylan ends up being a pretty damn interesting character, in my opinion. So I really like that we get him kind of dropped on the doorstep like he was brought from the fucking store here.
Yeah. So first episode, I guess he was normal enough, just a timid little geeky mama's boy. But here's where the signs start to show. Who flickers a flashlight like that while looking at drawings? What a psychopath. And then, boy, they really don't like the other son, huh? And then next, for a complete dork, Norman's got motion. This chick is into him, and I can't for the life of me figure out why. But he's got to run from it, though. You don't want to get tangled up with a girl whose dad was just set on fire. Nothing good can come from that relationship. Uh, just, I'm just really not a fan of how suspicious acting the cops are towards Norma. Like, there's literally no reason for it, and we get it again here. Then you're telling me that Norman was traumatized by seeing a man's flesh burn off his bones and still had to go to school the next day or that day? Brutal. Even more brutal, though, showing up to the hospital to comfort Bradley and getting cut off by her douche canoe of a boyfriend. Boy, that's just a rough day. And then I don't know if it was meant to be funny, but crying in a strip club while Pony by Genuine played, that is peak comedy, dude. I laughed. That was one of the funniest scenes I can remember seeing in a long time. But anyway, it was an okay open. But the more I watch the show, the more unsure about the show I'm getting. Norma seems way too normal based on, what I know about Norman Bates' mama and how messed up he ended up being. So like, it just seems way too normal. The story seems way too smooth and bland to me. And I'm wondering how this all ties into the psycho that I'm familiar with, but I'm trusting the process. I haven't given up.
Trust the process, brother. Trust me.
They open on Norma and Norman scrubbing that kitchen floor, trying to erase any trace of Keith Summers' murder. Norma keeps pushing about calling the police, but Norma shuts it down. She tells him it's too late. They'd never believe her version of events. We're not calling the police, she says with that, cold finality that leaves no room for discussion. And then, boom, Dylan shows up and asks if they ever get tired of each other when the doorbell rings. Dylan answers, and it is Emma, there with her oxygen tank. She says she's there to study, but she wants to put that oxygen tank to the test, I think, but too bad Norman has mommy issues. Norma starts pressing her, and Norman looks to Dylan to save the conversation, and like a good big brother, he does. While Emma's there, she brings up the Chinese journal again, and the one she and Norman found in episode 1, she's been digging into it more and says that there might be a personal diary possibly connected to some sketchy stuff in the town. And that kind of sets off a quiet spark of interest in Norman. It gives him something else to fixate on besides the trauma that's going on right now. And we cut to Norma in her bedroom. And it looks as though she's about to get a little frisky downtown, if you know what I mean, when the fucking doorbell rings again. To steal a line from Blue Velvet, Grand Central Station. It's the cops. They call her out on the lies about not seeing Keith as Deputy Shelby is visibly rolling his eyes in the background. He wants some of Vera too, obviously. The next day, Norma's driving around town and spots Shelby, and she's about to go cougar on him. They have coffee at the local diner and agree to go to the local town festival, the Woodchuck, together. But not together. Later that evening, she's getting ready for the Woodchuck, and Norman is freakishly looking at his mom change. It's weird. I don't know if I love the sexual tension he has for her, but whatever. Having mommy issues is one thing, but the sexual stuff, meh. But then a little bit out of place here, Norman tries to basically kill Dylan in the kitchen with a meat tenderizer over calling his mother a whore. That escalated quickly. Dylan dodges it, knocks the shit out of him, and as he lays bleeding on the floor, he says, "My mother's not a whore." And the next set of scenes is the ending.
All right, Dylan is annoying to me, but he shouldn't be, right? But I have a gut feeling. I haven't looked at IMDb how many episodes he's in, trying to do better about that. But right now, I'm having a gut feeling that he's going to be a goner soon. He seems to be a big issue in this household. And good Lord, Norma, asking a sick person their life expectancy, that sent me. I was like, what is going on with this lady? What the hell? Emma says she doesn't care about this book, but I wonder if she keeps that same energy once she sees that bondage stuff at the end. That's some freaky shit. I love how every time the doorbell rings, Norma is in total shock and she's really annoyed. Like we know she's cooking something up weird in there. I love the exchange between Norma and Sheriff, and good for her demanding the search warrant. Like she's standing on business again. Deputy Zach with some old school romance practices. I appreciated it. Asking her for a cup of coffee. Let's go, man. Norma, it is weird to change like this in front of your son. Like, why are you taking your shirt off? Only got a bra on. Like, you shouldn't do this in front of your kid, man. Like, nah, especially a son, right? Norman is a horrible fighter. This kid has soft hands. Dylan whooped his ass. This is pathetic. How do you whiff that bag when he wasn't even looking either? Norman, you might have Riz, but you can't fight worth shit.
Side note, I mean, if we're just gonna go all out and not do a period piece, we could have got some better fucking cleaning equipment than these Bates has had, man. Like, this is ridiculous. Swiffers are for in between cleans, not deep cleans. If we're deep cleaning, we got to use real fucking cleaning products. Goddamn, out here with a Swiffer wet jet cleaning a fucking hotel. Jesus Christ. No fucking wonder this thing is a shit bag. Anywho, I like the Norma character, but sometimes I have a hard time telling when she's being genuine and when she's being psycho. Sorry, that was fun. I couldn't resist. But Nico kind of touched on it. Well, actually, it was you that touched on it, Dustin, where she seems too normal. I think it's to lure you in. A little false sense of security there. So, but because I think in this sit down with Emma, she starts to kind of show who she actually is a little bit. But it's hard to tell, like I said, because it's hard to tell and so far in the show if Norma is a genuine person or not, right? We just know that Norman is a psycho son. That's what we know at some point. Also, I had no idea what cystic fibrosis was either. So I got a little bit of an education here from Emma. I had no idea that's what that disease did to you. Like, dead ass, I had no clue. So that was a little bit of an education there. Asshole line here from Dylan, right? About making out, moving the thing from her nose. Holy shit. What an asshole, man. That was so rude. Most girls would leave if they found those drawings, but Emma didn't. So she's a Jackie Kennedy. There's no doubt. You talked about keeping the same energy. I think she's a ride or die like Jackie Kennedy, man. You got to stand by your man. Huh?
I mean,
what?
Never mind. Just never mind.
Okay. Then we get the scene of Vera Farmiga rubbing lotion on her legs. I don't know if anybody caught that. Look, I would really like Romero to leave her the fuck alone, honestly. Like, I just moved. We already kind of hit on it in the first episode, but I just moved here. Like, I got a lot going on. You're knocking on my door at all hours of the night, calling me a liar, not calling me a truther. That's a Drake and Josh reference. Just, man, leave me the fuck alone. And by the way, Norma would get me. I'd be just like this deputy here. I'd fold like a paper napkin, buddy. She could get by on looks alone. I'd be like, yeah, you're not guilty. Take a hike, Romero, is what I would say. I would fold like a paper napkin, man. Really quick, where they live looks really pretty. Brian probably hated that nature shot for sure. I thought it looked pretty. It's a nice little Pacific Northwest there.
Wow.
Look, for a little bit, and I kind of forget where it goes, so sorry, but I wouldn't trust this. I wouldn't trust this deputy myself, but I kind of forget where it all goes. So again, I think he was just spitting game because I mean, who wouldn't at this point? Who wouldn't do that? Yes, Norma, it is weird to change like that in front of your son. That's the whole thing is weird. It's also bullshit because now you're getting to go on a date and party or whatever you're doing at this festival, but you wouldn't let him go anywhere or do anything. So you're a fucking hypocrite. Fuck you, Norma. Goddamn, no wonder Norman ends up the way he does. By the way, Dylan already figured out the kind of town he's living in. He knows how to make good money around here, and I can't really hate the man for that. Man's got to make a living somehow. Last thing I have here, my man called had Norma in his phone as the whore. This man Dylan is he is. I kind of like him. Yeah, man, you can say he's annoying. I kind of like him. He's my favorite kind of asshole, if you ask me. And he beats the shit out of Norman. Which, by the way, Norman tries him first. I mean, physically speaking, he comes at him. So hey, man, if you come at me, you best not miss. And he missed, and he got his fucking ass whooped. But this is one of the first signs that we get that Norman Bates isn't all right. He kind of snaps for the first time. You mentioned the flickering light, but this is the first time he truly, truly snaps on someone and you see it. Now he just gets his ass whooped, but that's because he's a pussy. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I felt secondhand embarrassment for Norman when Norma was grilling Emma. Sheesh, lady. I just said you were too normal, but this is a different level of creepy and uncomfortable. Asking the poor girl her life expectancy? Unreal. I mean, if I was Emma, I would have departed from that house right there. Get it? Because Vera was in The Departed. Okay. But I will say this. If she needed help lotioning her legs, I'm available. Vera is...
World needs plenty of bots.
Vera is such a handsome lady. The cops are annoying again. You're inferring it. Shut up, dude. But all this could have been avoided if she had just told the cops what happened when it happened, like Keith raped her. She should have just stabbed him immediately. Self-defense. Case closed. Like, I get not wanting the bad publicity, but it would have been a lot less stressful than this crap that she's currently dealing with. Then she turns on the charm with the deputy, and boy, I would have folded like origami, like you guys said. Yep, whatever you want, girl. But when she changed her top in front of Norman, I have to disagree with her. It was weird. Very. Like, I would never raise my hand in violence against my mom. But if she did that, I probably would have punched her in the forehead and locked myself in my room until I moved out. Like, no, that's weird. Dylan really struck a nerve with Norman. Like, it reminded me of Jake from Little Giants. Don't you talk about my mama? Except for Jake never tried to murder anyone with a meat tenderizer. The action really picked up here, but for me, the jury's still out.
Yeah, that's fair. I get it.
At the woodchuck party, Norma is pressing Shelby for some information, and he basically tells them there's illegal shit going on all over town. Kind of implies the police are looking, the other way, and the town survives. And things get dealt with differently there. But back at the house, Norma gets home and sees Norman's black eye. Norman then gets a text from Emma and goes down to the father's shop and she tells him more about the journal and how the girls were sex trafficked and kisses him. They devise a plan, and he is definitely sucked in now after that kiss. And they devise a plan to go looking for the cabin. And we're back at the house now with Dylan having a little nightcap listening to old records. Norma walks in and they get into it again. A tense, personal fight. Dylan tells her that Norman isn't okay and that whatever's going on in this house is unhealthy. Yes, Dylan's the only fucking normal guy around here. Norma deflects, accuses him of not understanding and continues to assert her control over Norman's life. But Dylan pushes back this time with some subtle threats, and Norma again backs down. He's starting to know that he has some dirt on her and she can't fully afford the heat. We cut to Norman and Emma out in the woods where they come upon a full farm of the marijuanas and some dudes who apparently just sit there and guard it all day. But they chase them through the woods, and that girl can run just fine for someone who has an oxygen tank to breathe. But okay. Also, that may be the first time I've ever seen a VW bug start right up in a show or a movie. Didn't even know that could happen in real life. When we finish up the episode with Norma coming up on someone hanging and burning on the street. Looks like some good old street justice, and Norma is panicked, very visibly in her face, and that's the end of this episode. What do you guys think?
This show is outrageous. Now we got a sex trafficking storyline going on. There's a lot to process in this program. Mike, I know you said it all comes to fruition, and I'm excited for it, but man, there's just a lot to process in the first 2 episodes, 43 minutes apiece. Norma refusing to answer how Sam died. Yeah, she definitely did it. Like, she's telling on herself by not answering. Good idea, Norman. Emma is hacking her lungs out. Probably a good idea to stop while you're taking this hike in the woods and get a breather. Like, come on, man. Like, she's obviously ill. Take a break. Yeah. And then, all right, this made me laugh. Norman cracked my ass up, yelling at this girl not to breathe. Dude, that made me laugh so fucking hard. And it's like the comedy is good in this.
And this is the last thing I got. There's another inflamed person in this town that's hung upside down, I believe. I thought it was a nice cliffhanger to end on. And like I mentioned, I wish I had more time because I would have kept watching the show just to see where it goes.
Dog, you mentioned it, Nico. This fucking set of scenes opens with this cop basically saying, "Yeah, we run drugs and traffic people around here, but I guess there's nothing we can do about it. I'm only a fucking cop, only just gonna let it happen right in front of me. Oh wait, I probably participate anyway, because that's how people make money around here." My my man, my man Norman acting all like sad, pouty in the bed, like, it's probably best if he leaves. Yeah, I bet it is. He just beat your motherfucking ass. Dog. He probably don't want to see them hands again. Them dick beaters. Better throw them up. Come on, son. Toughen up. By the way, this man sneaks out all the time. Like I did too, but I got my ass whooped for it. Yeah, Norma just lets him go wherever he wants all the time. Anyway, no grounding or anything. Which also Emma, kind of a weird gal, right? I think Emma's a little bit into the weird stuff like Norman. Maybe not quite like Norman, but a little bit of an interesting gal there. And got him a kiss already. We're 2 episodes in. He's got 2 women in love with him. One's already kissed him. What's going on? A teacher that's hot for him. What's going on here, man? What is, seriously, to quote Mark Wahlberg, what is it with you and hot ladies? I don't get it. I don't understand. You're coming to my house. Sorry. I just can't stop thinking of the
I know
other
you're
guys now.
wondering
Damn
because
it.
of the beard, but shaved.
I'm really hairy. Shaved. Arnold Palmer alert. Arnold Palmer alert. Who wants some Hardy Palmies? Anyway, listen. I actually love this character of Dylan. I know, in this early stuff, he's divisive. I think everyone hopefully will come to love Dylan, but look, I love it. And he's basically saying, hey, I know you're a murderer, had him killed. So yeah, you're going to let me stay. And then you're going to shut the fuck up about the way I act about it. Or I'm going to sell you out. I'm going to throw you down a river, which good for him because, hey, man, blackmail is the ultimate form of currency, to be honest with you. So that's the way it goes. By the way, they live in the Northwest, maybe like Oregon area, Washington area. Does the altitude not fuck up her lungs even worse? Like, I feel like living in that area with CF's probably pretty rotten, right? Like, that sounds terrible. I think I'm going to go take a hike. Bad ideas all around. And again, I will say, him having a actual love interest, which, I don't want to say too much, but him having an actual love interest, now I don't particularly like that for Norman Bates. I feel like that isn't like super great for the character. It does evolve, so like it's fine, but just on this episode alone, I don't like this kind of like not a girlfriend really, but like a friend girl that he was already kissed. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't mind him being a ladies' man. That's hilarious. But like him actually getting super involved with one, I think is a little not Norman Batesy. But again, it all comes around. Last thing I have is that's a great last shot, man, of seeing that burning guy in the middle of town. Norma drives by, freaked out. I love that shot. That's a great cliffhanger to end on.
Yeah, it's pretty eye-opening stuff when the deputy told Norma that the inmates run the asylum in the town. I'd probably put the motel for sale and head out. Like, nothing good can come from staying here. Then again, I say, Norman has motion. Bro got a you up text on a school night, and I can't get a text or DM back. Unreal. And the little nerd just had to throw on a sweater on before he snuck out, too. Is that what I'm doing wrong? Do I need to wear sweaters over collared shirts? Good God.
You should think about it.
When she starts going on about the sex trafficked Chinese girl, I would have told her she can just fill me in at school tomorrow. I'm out. This is a prime example of when the meeting could have been an email. But she did kiss him, so I guess it was worth it. And then we get an added layer when Dylan implies that Norma killed her husband, and she looked lost for words and just told him to keep the music down. I mean, I assumed something was afoot with how stoic she was in that scene in the first episode and with how casually she killed Keith and immediately jumped to, we got to lose the body. But this was a good way to add suspicion to those circumstances. Norman and Emma in the forest. I don't know. I just didn't care about this side quest. Like, hopefully it comes back into play in a big way later. But for now, it's just an added scene that it just didn't do anything for me. To me, the story is Norman and him becoming psycho. Like, that's what I'm looking for. And maybe he got traumatized on the, with this stuff that goes down and it makes him snap even more. I don't know yet, but I don't know. I just don't care for it so far. Now, the body strung up and burning in broad daylight. That I do care about. This town is wicked, man. No concern for discretion while we murder someone. Like, let's do it when everyone can see. All in all, for me, it was just an okay episode. I gave the first episode a 7 out of the hope that the story would grab me, but it hasn't through 2 episodes. So this episode gets a little lower score for me. I'm at a 5.5 for this one. And honestly, the more I watch, the more I think like a Psycho prequel. I've said this about multiple stuff lately, but I think it could work better as just like a 2-hour movie. I don't know. There's 48 episodes of this show or something like that. 50 episodes.
Let it. There's 5 seasons. Let it breathe,
No,
brother.
I'll be
just
honest
let it
with you.
breathe.
Unless you pick them, I ain't even watching
Let it
all 5 seasons of this.
Guess what? I'm picking them. So
I'll be
yes,
dead
you
by
are,
the time we get
'cause
through
that's what's
5 seasons of this. But
I'm going on a Bates Motel run the same way Nico's going on a Stranger Things run, brother.
yay.
That's what we're doing.
What did I do
Hey,
to y'all?
brother, I don't complain when you pick vampire. Dude, I don't complain when you pick Fart Sniffer A24 movies. You just got to do it, buddy.
One movie. And you're picking months and months of stuff. The two
No.
of you are ganging up
No.
on me.
You pick one movie. You pick one movie multiple times. For A24, you picked it like 20
You know
in a
what?
row.
Just
man.
for that, I'm picking my next pick. I say we
Good.
redo Ghost of Mars. My next pick.
I'll be sick like I was before.
Nico, you're
I'll
muted,
be
buddy.
sick. You know what? I could do that because I'll just read my notes from last time word by word. They're saved, so we're good. Just read the exact
No, we're doing
same
a
thing I put
director's
last
cut.
time. By the way, you said
So that you gotta
I don't give a fuck. I'm not rewatching it. You can't make me. I don't care if I have the wrong version. Fuck you.
Yeah, just fill us in what the difference is.
Yeah, just let
This
me
could have
know,
been an
brother.
email.
But I love how you said the inmates are running the asylum. I didn't want to cut you off, but this town's goddamn WCW is what's
Who's
going
booking
on
this?
around here. God almighty. Who's booking this shit? Eric Bischoff's booking this town. Good night.
Yeah, I've got 3 of the trivias here. During the car recovery scene, the cable in the tow truck broke during the first shot. Subsequent shots of the scene were done in such a way to keep the cable out of view of the camera. And the shed that Norman and Emma spot while being chased through the woods is famous. It's historically known as the MacGyver shed and has appeared in numerous shows. Yes, I am old enough to have seen MacGyver, the original MacGyver, on TV. And the set decoration department went to a local taxidermist and basically cleaned out his shop to dress the set of Emma's dad's shop. Okay, well, why'd you spend the time to go to a taxidermist shop and not just some normal one if you're going to change it all anyway? Whatever. I just work here.
Anywho, y'all got any final thoughts on these first 2 episodes before we get out of here?
Yeah, hopefully it gets better. That's all I have to say.
I hope it gets better.
Yeah, I'm good.
Mike, I enjoyed the first episodes,
Thank
but
you,
I just love Vera Farmiga, so I'm in it. And I've been
Somehow
wanting to
this
watch this
show-
whole season.
Somehow this show's not as good as Under the Skin.
That is
I don't
true.
get it.
But
Anyway.
no, I think Brian had a good point with his opening thoughts. Like, this does to me feel like one of those CW teen shows. So it's just something in the way.
It's not though.
Clearly, but that's how it feels to me. I don't know. It feels like I'm watching
That's fair.
Vampire
No,
Diaries or
I think that's
Riverdale.
a fair point.
I think it's the kid part.
I don't know. I think it's the quality of writing.
Because like the stuff with Vera like alone is pretty dark. But like the kid
It
stuff is
gets
like him just
darker.
hanging out.
But
I believe it.
like,
No, I'm with you.
For me, it's
I'm
not
with
the
you. I'm
tone. It's not
excited.
how dark it is, how bright and sunny and cheery it is. It's, I don't know. I wanted it to progress faster, I guess. I wanted to see Norman be Norman Bates, not Norman be a nerdy kid that's got motion. Maybe I'm just a hater. Maybe I'm just jealous he's getting all these girls. I don't know.
I think that's it. But
To me, go ahead, Mike. I'll go after you.
No, well, there's 5 seasons, and so I can understand like wanting it to progress faster, but it definitely doesn't do that. Like it's a slow build to the Norman that we end up knowing, but it does happen. I promise.
50 hours later.
Well, my thing is I already see like the seeds have been planted. Like both of them are kind of maniacs already. Like I've already seen like tendencies. Like they're not over the top yet, but I see like the small signs.
Yeah, I mean, I can see small signs, but
I understand not liking the second episode that much. It's like
this show has seeds planted in a 50-acre field, and I got one sprout.
You're like that episode of Duck Dynasty when Willie buys the wine vineyard, and he's like, "I bought a vineyard and ain't got no grapes."
Hey man,
And he's talking about grape season ain't till next year. He's talking about, I want them in 30 minutes.
All I'm saying is this show didn't have an Elephant Man's dick. Anyway, let's go.
All right, let's wrap it up. We don't want to take
Wrap-
Mike off right now.
I'm just kidding.
Wrap it up.
It's
That's a
first-
wild thing to say after Mike just said what he said.
Please wrap it up. Please wrap
All
it
right,
up.
Jason lives.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Just want to remind everybody